The agriculture industry is changing rapidly, and you need to stay on top of those changes. I'm Brent Adams, president of Rural Strong Media and the host of the Tractors and Troubadours national radio show and podcast. Each week, we strive to bring you agriculture industry newsmakers, hot-button industry issues, educational features, and the best in true country music. Are you looking for agronomy tips, farm equipment insights, or commodity market analysis? We have you covered. Are you looking for the lowdown on ag policy, foreign trade, or the latest research from universities, trade associations, or the USDA? We have you covered there too. Each week, my contributors and I speak with some of the most influential voices in agriculture to help you understand the ever-evolving nature of the business. Tractors and Troubadours can be found at ruralstrongmedia.com, also Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Deezer, Audible, Odyssey, and the new Samsung Free app. Rural Strong Media, the definitive voice of rural America.
Stories behind the ag brands we love and the ag brands we love to hate. What color is your tractor? With Chrissy Wozniak.
Hi, I'm Chrissy Wozniak, and welcome to What Color is Your Tractor? The company that we're going to talk to today is a global manufacturer of tractors, combine harvesters, balers, forage harvesters, self-propelled sprayers, haying tools, seeding equipment, hobby tractors, utility vehicles, and grape harvesters. They are the official opposition to the green lovers out there with their iconic blue. From Willow Street, Pennsylvania, I would like to welcome New Holland Agriculture's Commercial Marketing Director for North America, Mark Lowery. Thank you so much, Mark, for joining me today.
Well, thanks for having me today, Chrissy. It's good to be joining you from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania.
Awesome. Where it was all born, right?
You got it. Yes. The New Holland started just about a half a mile from where I sit today.
Wow, that's incredible. So let's start out. Can you tell me a bit about your background and history with New Holland?
Yes, I've been with New Holland for just about 12 years. I started in the company as a product trainer, training on our hay tools line, specifically dealer salespeople throughout North America. And after about 2 years in that role, I transitioned into marketing roles with our livestock and dairy products and have continued to move through those roles. I think I've touched just about every product that New Holland makes at some point or another. And presently, in the commercial marketing department. So anything that folks see out in the public from New Holland in North America comes from my team. So very proud to be able to represent its brand, the great history and everything that we plan to do next.
That's awesome. And why do you personally serve the agriculture industry?
Working in this industry, I think, was an early choice for me. I grew up not on a farm, actually. I worked on my neighbor's small dairy, probably how a lot of people get recruited because they need help milking and making hay. So I started doing that work early as a kid and just really fell in love with agriculture. And so through programs like 4-H and FFA, I'm still very heavily involved in FFA, helped me make my career decision early to remain committed to this industry. I think it's the most authentic and rewarding job we can have to support agriculture. And so I would not, and I don't know if I would be able to work anywhere else or in any other industry.
Wow. And I couldn't agree with you more. It's a very honorable industry for sure. So can you tell me about the beginning of this great company, starting with Abe Zimmerman, a Mennonite from Pennsylvania?
I most certainly can. The company is named after the town of New Holland, Pennsylvania. As we talk to folks globally, that seems to be sometimes a little known fact. So Abe Zimmerman started the company, New Holland Machine Company, here in the town of New Holland, really to make innovative products for small farms as they were starting to mechanize in this area. New Holland really became famous for its hit and miss engine that had a pretty interesting innovation. Rather than a lot of hit and miss engines at that time that had a square water jacket around the piston, he tapered it like he saw on the farm in a hog trough. That if when water freezes, it lifts up out of there rather than cracking the block. And he marketed it as the freeze-proof engine, and that really put New Holland Machine Company on the market. But that continued to evolve, and really what made New Holland the company it is today is in the late 1930s, early 1940s. Four businessmen in Lancaster, one whose name is George C. Delp, who later became president of the company, wanted to revitalize the New Holland Machine Company, and they worked with a local innovator named Ed Nolt to commercialize a small square baler. And that small square baler wound up being the first commercially successful small square baler that truly put New Holland on the map as a major agricultural equipment manufacturer, and still what informs our leadership in hay tools today. So from Abe Zimmerman through George C. Delp to today, we've really built our foundation on being in a strong farming area here that has informed our innovations, again, very authentically. A lot of us committed to agriculture, love it. Our engineers, product development, live and breathe iron. I think you find that probably commonly in a lot of companies, that those who are successful just have people that love the business they're in and what they do. And that definitely helps us continue to innovate today.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing. And it's interesting that the original line did not include tractors. So what other products were manufactured in those early years?
In the early years, after New Holland had established success with the small square baler, we made complementary haying equipment. One of the first and early mantras of the company was first in grassland farming. So all things hay, New Holland was known as really the resource for that. And that started out at first, sickle mowers, crimpers, silo blowers, all those complementary products. But then it just continued to inform innovation. I mean, we've got some hallmark names that came out of those early years, names like the Haybine. We invented the combination of the sickle mower and conditioner, the combining of those two processes into the Haybine name. Things like the roll-a-bar rake that a lot of folks will be familiar with. I see a lot of them still in service today. We manufactured those from the 60s in a continuous line until just the past couple years ago. We discontinued the roll-a-bar rake. I made it for an incredibly long time. So some of those early products, rakes, mowers, et cetera, I see all around the country. A lot of them we made so well that they're still in service from the 50s and 60s. Wow. Continue to be. But all those early products were really focused around how to make the best quality hay, focused on cattle at first, dairy cattle, and expanding then into all the other animals, crop types, everything that you would need to be first in grassland farming was in New Holland's early days.
Wow. And how did the original Ford tractor come to merge with New Holland?
Well, that is an interesting time and gets us to some of the unique colors of New Holland for sure.
Yeah.
So in the history of the company, the merger with Ford Tractor happened in 1986. And at that time, and this is certainly an unauthorized version I've picked up through the years talking to heritage Ford Tractor guys that were still with the company. At that time, as Ford Motor Company looked at its business, they wanted to focus on automobiles. And so when the next generation of Fords took over the company, they were curious about what to do with this tractor arm of the business, but they had a problem. They had tractors and they had no implements. And New Holland was a strong company with all sorts of implements, but no tractors. And so the marriage was fairly natural at that point that, Ford, in order to more fully complete its lineup, needed to create a merger with the company who was leading in the industry. And at that time, New Holland, of course, was the obvious choice. So Ford New Holland existed from 86 until 1991, thereabouts when we entered into the ownership with Fiat. But of course, we still retain the blue from the Ford tractor heritage, and in North America, our red hay tools that have been so iconic in the industry.
Yeah. And you mentioned Fiat. That is an important part of the New Holland story. So where does that fit in, and how did this merger happen?
Yeah, it's interesting in the global view of the company. As I work with my global colleagues today, perspectives on equipment are totally different in terms of brand loyalty or what color they bleed. Mm-hmm. And so Giovanni Agnelli with Fiat, really interestingly with tractors, had a very similar trajectory to Henry Ford. Ford started mass producing tractors in 1918. Fiat did similarly in 1918 start producing tractors as well. and was really, really strong in Europe and global markets. But I think probably as your listeners and the American agriculturalists know, that we are the most productive and prolific farmers in the world. And so they had, of course, some interest to access this North American market to play a role in leadership in agriculture. Fiat was a major tractor player, but likewise, wanted to have a complete lineup that they could market globally. And so Ford New Holland became an attractive player for that because of its leadership in North America, for Fiat to purchase the company. And so when that happened in 1991, we've existed as essentially with some of that Fiat, Ford, and New Holland DNA, all informing the products that we put out today. But you can look at several products and see commonalities and the best of all of those brands coming together to form our lineup now.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And what were the goals of the company back in the early days, even before the mergers?
Back in the early days, as I talked to, and it's really interesting to be here in New Holland, Pennsylvania, because as I'm out in the community, I'm at church, I meet a lot of retirees from all different parts of the company. And, all of the innovation that occurred was really committed to doing one thing, and that is making the life of the farmer easier. And how do an amalgamation of farm kids that wound up being engineers and different disciplines of training make that life a whole lot easier and provide a return on investment, easy serviceability. This company always had a real commitment to making sure that people could work on the equipment that they have. And so all of those things together continued to evolve what we do. And it really started with, in the early days, an equipment dealer looked a lot different too. We would set up an equipment dealer who may be a dairy farmer that was selling farm equipment on the side, who was working and operating his own farm and providing feedback directly to the manufacturer in order to make on-the-fly adjustments. So whether it was, farmers giving feedback to dealers, dealers giving feedback to us, people going directly into the plant to determine how to put things together to make them easier to service and maintain. We really built, even in the early days, and I think what goes through today, retained that feeling of being authentic, of being real and committed to the industry and just helping people get work done easier. I think generally, if we're not doing that in the equipment business, we won't stay in business. And so, I'd like to think that it's a common thread, even in the early days to today, that's the first question we ask ourselves. And we don't bring a product to market unless it does make someone's life easier and help make them more productive and provide a return on investment.
Yeah, the proof is in the success, right?
You got it.
Yeah. So in 1999, Case Corporation was merged with New Holland, hence CNH Industrial. So how and why did that happen in that kind of interesting move?
Yeah, it is. I think as you look at the consolidation in the equipment industry, and this is certainly something that, both New Holland, Case IH, part of CNH Industrial today, we are a company of many, many brands. And any of those acquisitions that we've made have helped us continue to gain an edge on gaining the best technology, on filling some gap in our lineup to continue to pursue leadership and be a podium player in all parts of the industry. So particularly the collaboration, the one team nature that we have within CNH Industrial with Case IH's long history of successes, whether it is directly in corn and soybean harvesting that's so important in North America, spread across what New Holland is so good at with small grains, dairy and livestock tractors, specialty crops, viticulture. It allows us to think it was a natural merger for us to really be one of the most complete full liners in the industry. And particularly when you look at the strong brands that we have, whether we are standing in a corn and soybean field in Iowa, whether we're in a vegetable and vineyard in California, the CNH Industrial offering has something to offer strongly in all of those markets, which I think has been quite rare in the equipment industry. So, certainly since we've been together as some version of Case New Holland, CNH, or CNH Industrial in this since 1999, it's all been about completing the lineup and continuing to be a strong podium player in all markets. And so a lot of that Case IH and New Holland DNA on specific products, shared technology has been incredibly beneficial.
Yeah, that makes sense. And offhand, how many lines is New Holland manufacturing right now? Do you know?
Oh boy.
Lots, I'm sure.
Let's say hundreds at this moment. I'm very envious as I look at the early days when New Holland made 7 products to the really hundreds of product families and models that we make today. I mean, I think really we've got over 400 specific models of equipment that we put out through our manufacturing facilities, and so that very lineup is what makes us New Holland as a brand able to say very boldly that we are a full liner. Because we are varied and have a lot of model variations that we service.
Wow. So from the first manufacturing plant there in New Holland until now, where is the equipment being manufactured?
So we have, of course, several facilities here in North America. Still our plant in New Holland, Pennsylvania, that makes round balers, disc mower conditioners, pull-type forage harvesters, manure spreaders, a few other products. We manufacture large articulating four-wheel drive tractors, so our T9 series in Fargo, North Dakota. T8 series tractors, the next step down in Racine, Wisconsin. Our self-propelled windrowers in Grand Island, Nebraska. Our combines in Zettelgem, Belgium. Our mid-range tractors in Basel, England, Jesi, Italy. And I could keep going through the globe, but I think the next natural question is, why do we manufacture in the locations that we do? Yeah. And it 100% has to do with where the primary market of usage for that product is. For example, the hay tools that we make here in New Holland, we still use 85% of the products coming out of that plant here in North America. So the expertise is here. This is our harvesting center of excellence for North America. So we're closest to the customers here that primarily use this product. When I went across the ocean to Basildon and Jesi, respectively, the primary market of use for that size tractor is in Europe and globally, although we are pretty close in North America too. So as we look at all of our manufacturing footprint across the globe, and we do manufacture utility tractors in India, which is also an interesting example of, that Asia Pacific industry for that size of the tractor is 4 or 5 times the size of what it is in North America, as an example. So it just to share that we manufacture where the primary market of use is for the product, because that's where we can be closest to the customer. But we've got lots of plants, R&D centers all around the world in order to accomplish that mission.
Yeah, that's smart. And who are some of the more memorable people within the company along the way?
Well, I mentioned a couple now. George Delp coming together and really investing in Ed Nolt to put together that small square baler. New Holland, Pennsylvania is an engineering heritage site because of Ed's design on the small square baler nodder, which effectively has not changed a lot since that time. We're also incredibly blessed with the current leaders we have. Carlo Lambro is our global president. Carlo lives in Modena. His office is in Modena, is from nearby in Bologna, Italy, and really has a strong global view of the company, and really is committed to New Holland. And so along with our current Vice President, Sally Johnson, who's been with CNH Industrial for 16 years, we've had a long line of leaders that are committed to agriculture and just want to do the right thing. And I could create a long list of people just like that. But that's even without the long list of engineers, the folks who invented the twin rotor combine in 1974, the people who continue to patent incredible technology. The engineering team just had their patent celebration dinner this week that has or a couple of weeks ago that have a long list of folks that continue to earn patents for innovative technology. So there's certainly been a long list of names that I'd be remiss if I even started that have been very committed to this brand that have brought us to where we are today. But they all share the same values, which I think is incredibly important.
Yeah, for sure. And what are the values of New Holland today? And how do you keep them consistent across more than 170 countries over the globe?
You know, I will say that our values have been pretty consistent, and I'll get to that on one value in particular. But you know, one of our first values of the brand, of course, is reliability. And I think for all the reasons you would know that for an equipment company, it's important for us to be reliable, and it's informed by the fact that we've been around as a New Holland brand for 127 years. We figured out how to be a reliable partner over that period of time, and so we're very strongly committed to that. Openness and responsiveness is another value that we hold pretty closely. As we interview customers, and I've used this word a couple times, that our customers tell us that New Holland is very authentic, that when they pick up the phone and talk with us, that they feel that we're committed to helping them solve the problem. And that's what we want to do. Because no matter what color equipment is, it's going to break at some point, and you need to make sure that people are with you to support, to find the right solution, and to get you back up and running quickly. That's so important in our industry. So openness and responsiveness is important. Yeah. Innovation. You know, I think a lot of companies say they're innovative, but I'll let the success of the company speak for itself in terms of innovation, that we've got to continue to invest in providing the best solutions. Otherwise, we would be a brand of consideration. But the last one I'll share, which has been interesting from a consistency standpoint, is sustainability. I think we as a brand value are committed to sustainability, and I'd like to think that we were sustainable before it was cool, because we hear a lot of that talk at this moment in the media, and a lot of commitment to sustainability with current issues. But we started our clean energy leader strategy with sustainability in 2006. We certified our diesel engines for biodiesel at that time. And then we started to evolve pretty quickly into concept vehicles for alternative propulsion with hydrogen tractors, methane tractor today, with an eye on all other sorts of alternative propulsion to retain our commitment to sustainability. And that's just a small slice of what sustainability means. It also bakes into our products in terms of how we're manufacturing, how we are living out that sustainability commitment with our manufacturing footprint. So sustainability has been a long journey for us that isn't just informed because it has a lot of attention at this moment. We've been on it for a while. I think probably even pre-2006, frankly. But I think when you look at those four values that I shared, it's easy to understand how those are important for us to remain committed to, because if we lose sight on that, we won't be around for the next 127 years.
That's right. Yeah, that's incredible. And you personally look after New Holland's 800 dealer locations through North America. And how do you maintain that personal relationship with that many people?
Mainly because we've got a great team at New Holland that they don't all need to call me.
Right. Yeah.
So we're fortunate to have between our network development teams, our field sales and service teams, and folks spread out through North America. We do try very hard to make sure that folks know who the management team is at New Holland and that they can access us directly. In fact, today we're doing our normal dealer update calls by sales region so that folks can at least see us on camera, ask us questions live, and have the ability to interface and have their issues known, determine together how we can continue to grow and support customers. So it's all about retaining that commitment to be close to people and to not be mysterious and inaccessible. And we try very hard not to do that, and that people can feel comfortable to reach out to us whenever they need to. But we're incredibly fortunate that we have a strong team that likewise is committed to agriculture, whether they were born into it or came to it later than life. We've been really delighted to build people's passion for agriculture to support this brand and our dealers, because I have no more respect for the people that have to live and make a go in their home area, and our dealers embody that. They're committed to agriculture and they've got to succeed where they are, and it's our job to support them. So whenever my phone rings from a dealer, and the same for the team, we want to figure out how to get an answer to their question and solve the problem.
Yeah, that's important to a farmer in a field that's having a problem, or, a dealer trying to fix something. It has to be personable, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And something that's really remarkable to me is the fact that New Holland began with Ford Tractor, but now CNH owns Dodge, not Ford. And CNH needs to represent New Holland, the brand, distinctly different from Case's brand. Mm-hmm. So with the same parent company and the same goal of profit as any other global corporation, how do you, in your marketing strategies, keep a consistent brand message throughout your marketing?
Yeah, it's really good, because we have to work to retain the brand's voice in everything that we do, and also to retain it amongst all the, New Holland may mean something slightly differently to someone in Brazil versus the United States. And so retaining our unique identity in the market, versus what New Holland means globally is always an interesting challenge. But what I will say is that the brand's identity is very much informed by our history and continued innovation. The brand's voice and the way we think about what we lead in today, unmistakably, we retain leadership in those livestock, dairy, hay and forage committed customers. I mean, that is core to the DNA of New Holland. The other thing that's core to the DNA and how we talk about the brand is our leadership in small grains, with that awesome twin rotor combine that still holds the world record in wheat and, even though not a small grain, soybean harvest globally. So, when my team in North America thinks about, who New Holland is and how we want to communicate, we always do that with an eye to retaining our identity in the customers that we're talking to, those folks that are committed to not just those industries, but all others. And the one thing that we find is, even though that our history is varied, we always have to include in our story the rich history that we do have with the different brands that we represent, including Ford, and including the rich history of New Holland, because people that identify with blue tractors still call that blue New Holland a Ford tractor sometimes. And you can see a lot of that Ford DNA, stretching back on prior product in tractors today. So it's very much a part of. It doesn't make our job easy to keep all of those brands sometimes a part of New Holland's story. But what makes our job easy, though, is allowing customers to tell our story. I mean, we just launched customer stories on our YouTube channel, coinciding with Farm Progress, that I think really speak for themselves in terms of how we talk about the brand and our products, because it goes back to that authenticity. How our customers feel about us. Those are the stories that we want to tell, and who the brand is. We don't try to be something that we're not, and we don't try to be more than a company that's going to help you solve your problem when you have it and give you really good product that maybe some other folks can give you product that's just as good, but we can support it and make that customer feel supported better than anybody else. And that's what the brand's voice is all about.
Yeah, that is so important. And why do you think that there's such strong brand loyalty in the agriculture industry? Why are farmers so loyal to their color? And is it sustainable as we move forward?
We obviously there's a lot of debate on this topic all the time. Yeah. Why are we so loyal to our colors? I think it is informed by our heritage, by experience, by we have a vision for what the family farm looked like and what equipment powered that. But what we find to be so incredibly important and what we're focused on is what will evolve is the customer's experience with their local dealer. I mean, the brand is important, but I can never replace what the local dealer does and the experience that dealer provides to the customer. And so I think that loyalty to paint will always be a factor, but I know that local equipment dealers are working really hard to establish their brand and loyalty for the equipment that they represent. And those folks connected in the ag community, because as 2% of the population committed to production ag, it means that we can have pretty close relationships with our customers. And I know nobody can do that better than dealers. So we know today that causes people to think about their equipment color today based on how they want to be supported, based on all of the other things and how the equipment is evolving technologically, is creating some pause to allow people to consider some different colors they may not have before. And so we're excited to continue to be at the table and have those conversations. But the local dealer is the main piece of that consideration in our book, and my job is to empower them.
Yeah, that makes sense. And how is New Holland addressing the need to feed more people with fewer resources? And you touched on this about the NH2, for example. And can you tell me about that as well?
Yeah. So, I mentioned sustainability as a core brand value. And so, that manifests itself in a number of ways. For example, we just launched a Guardian sprayer with IntelliSpray 2 technology that is really about applying chemical more accurately. Of course, that has an ROI as input costs are high, but it also has an impact as we're assessing, what chemical impacts are going to be in the environment moving forward, what we can and can't use, et cetera. So I think we're all trying to be good managers, and the iron's enabling us to do it. But we also know that we're not going to be able to power with traditional diesel forever. And so, when we came with the NH2 tractor, and that started in 2008 with a concept vehicle, I mean, we were able to prove that it could work. It could deliver, the same power that diesel could in a cleaner way. But hydrogen technology, of course, anyone following this in the automotive world as well, continues to be a bit cost prohibitive for everybody. So we've got proven technology with hydrogen, but it was, okay, so what next? How do we continue to provide sustainability in a way, in alternative propulsion that fits with farmers? And so as we evolved from the NH2, we moved next to, how do we fit into an energy independent farming model? Meaning that, regardless of your commitment to sustainability today, the one thing I think we can all agree on is that it would be really nice to be fuel independent. And so in 2019 at Agritechnica in Europe, we launched the world's first methane-powered tractor, a compressed natural gas tractor, in order to really fit into that sustainability model. Meaning, if I'm able to capture and pressurize methane on the farm at a grade to fuel tractors, I have a pretty fuel-independent model that when we look at the emissions on that tractor, when fueled from a methane capture source from livestock, returns air to the atmosphere that is cleaner than when it went in. And that's pretty amazing.
That's amazing.
And so I think it opens up a lot of avenues as we think about, how do we make, because sustainability has a lot of different meanings, but I think the one thing that we all know and are committed to is we want farming, we want agriculture, we want that to be sustainable for the next generation to be able to inherit. And I think that the things that we're working on now in alternative propulsion will enable that, whether it is from an environmental standpoint or whether it's just from a business standpoint and in providing fuel independence from some of those input costs.
Right. And that leads into what lays ahead for New Holland in terms of this technology and the evolution of the current lines.
I look at my meager career of just 12 years, and I know there are folks with a lot more experience than me. I can't think of a single more time that we've had more change in the industry with alternative propulsion and what lays ahead for OEMs and equipment companies. So you've seen a lot of this happen in terms of what lays ahead for us. Alternative propulsion will continue to be a very, very important focus. But we also have a lot of real issues to solve in terms of automation and autonomy. And that's not to mean that we're seeking to replace anyone who wants to thrive operating equipment. But it does mean that we've got the very real scenario where we've got less farm labor to work in some of those jobs. We had a pretty good chance. We had a 10 to 20% chance that past generations grew up on a farm, but that number is dwindled quite a bit now. So I've only got 2% of the population who grew up on a farm and has that knowledge. So having trained operators to be able to perform functions at critical times means that we need to have equipment that is more automated, maybe not fully autonomous, but automated, so that folks without as much experience can go in and operate like a pro. And so all of those things coupled with, the reducing inputs and maximizing ROI so that we can make money on a thin margin in a farming operation, all of those things will continue to be important to us. But what's really cool is that now the technology has married up to allow us to do that. So as I look at what's happening for New Holland in the future, it's less about how we make a new iron product. It's more about how we make that iron product more efficient, more automated, more comfortable, of course, for customers so that they can do more with that unit, because it'll continue to be a focus. So you're going to see a lot of different things from New Holland. We still like iron. We're an iron company. We like to paint stuff blue, red, or even yellow for the combines, and make really cool looking and innovative products. But it's going to be more technologically enabled.
Yeah, that's cool and exciting. So what are some things that you think people wouldn't know necessarily about New Holland?
Well, I think what people don't know about New Holland is, some of the leadership in the specialty and viticulture and orchard crops. Our knowledge about agriculture is really informed by where we live, the area that we're in. And so I'm always energized talking to our dealers that are in those areas, because there are such unique and interesting things that are done with our narrow tractors, our grape harvester, which is really a specialty harvester that can do a lot of different things that, it's not what people may think of first with New Holland. But everything that we learn from those type of industries inform innovations on our other products. And I think the other thing, people who have traveled globally will see a lot of New Holland product in other markets. Our leadership in Brazil in corn and soybeans, another great agricultural producer, all the things that happen in Europe with, where we really see a population of more digesters and energy capture. The methane tractor that I talked about, you see a stronger population of those as we're just getting started in North America. So I think what a lot of people don't know about New Holland is just the global breadth of the business and how unique it is, because we just think of what we see out of our windshield sometimes. But
yes.
So that's one big thing. And then the other I mentioned earlier, people don't know there's a New Holland, Pennsylvania, and they should come and visit. It's a great place. We're like in the heart of Amish country tourism here in New Holland, Pennsylvania. A lot of people don't know that the town exists, but we encourage folks to come and visit anytime.
Absolutely. And that's not too far from one of the great shows of the year, the Keystone show in York, right? Not too far from there.
That's right. We're only about an hour away from the Keystone Farm Show in York. Yeah,
that's a great show. So I have one last question for you. What color is your tractor? I'm sure we could guess.
I'll give you maybe a different answer than you expected. Growing up as a kid in Western Pennsylvania, my grandfather had a Ford 8N. So although I would say blue for Ford, the 8N was gray and red. So I've always got to go back to the heritage of the 8N, which was a very popular Ford tractor.
That's awesome. Very good. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for joining me today. That was a lot of information and a lot to digest for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Chrissy, and I appreciate you spending the time, and always fun to talk a little bit about what has happened and is going to happen in the future at New Holland. So I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. And thanks to everyone that's listening. If you want to learn more, links are provided in the show notes. And don't forget to subscribe to What Color Is Your Tractor and North American Ag Spotlight on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram, AgFees channels. And the podcast is available on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Amazon, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And have a great day. Thanks so much for listening to What Color Is Your Tractor. I hope you learned something new about the brand you love or hate. If you're a manufacturer who would like to apply to be featured on this show, please visit whatcolorisyourtractor.com/contact and fill out the form.